All right, everybody. For those of you I don't know, my name's Joth Ricci. I am the chair of the Oregon Business Plan. I've been doing that for 3 years. And my side job is I'm the CEO of Dutch Bros. So thanks for being here. Thanks for coming to the summit. And welcome to the 20th annual Leadership Summit of the Oregon Business Plan. 20 years we've been at this. Who could have imagined back in 2002 that we'd be meeting here annually, 2 decades running, to refresh a policy plan that aims to build Oregon's prosperity? Who would imagine that? Something here is working. Over the past 20 years, Oregon has created some 300,000 new jobs. Our incomes have grown and our economy is more diversified than ever. This forum was created to keep that momentum. The idea that we can better face our challenges and opportunities, public, private, and community leaders coming together. But this time we're at a distinct time of leadership transition in Oregon. Across all sectors, this sets the stage for fresh ideas, new policy directions on a wide range of critical issues. The Oregon Business Plan helps position us in this remarkable moment of time. 2022, a remarkable moment of time. But let's look back. In the first decade of the plan, our focus was largely on creating jobs and growing incomes. We brought a focus to a traded sector industries, the ones that drive local economies. That was the goal 20 years ago. And we took steps to promote innovation for our key sectors. We also highlighted the importance of sustainability as a key competitive advantage for our state. We worked together, and the economy grew. We had a remarkable run. And then it stopped. The Great Recession around 2008, we had to regroup and adjust. Our theme that year was keeping focus in the tough times. Our focus for the summit in 2010 was breaking out of the toxic cycle of business, job, and public revenue losses that was afflicting our state and our communities. We pulled no punches about what it would take to get out of an enormous fiscal hole. Think about that. We all loved 08, 9, and 10, didn't we? It was a great time. But those crises create change. And our elected leaders pursued a bold agenda of education, innovation, productivity, and a quality of life to grow jobs and regain our fiscal footing. In our second decade, Oregon made considerable progress on that agenda. The state gradually recovered and it got back on track. This brings us to our current decade. In 2019, we took stock of evolving global trends and the conditions in Oregon. We did a full strategic reset. One key finding was that the nature of the economy was changing. Even in good times, not all Oregonians had the opportunity to thrive. We saw that job requirements are growing more demanding, that Oregonians need access to education and support to take advantage of economic opportunity. So our refreshed vision for this decade is to achieve not just prosperity, but more widely shared prosperity. The idea is that all Oregonians from all backgrounds and communities and locations must have equitable access to good jobs, education, opportunities, and other resources to achieve their aspirations. We selected 4 goals to guide our work and measure our progress. 1, grow wages. 2, increase the share of people working. Grow household wealth. And number 4, increase economic mobility. We identified 3 imperatives official for achieving those goals. 1, grow the economy and jobs. 2, prepare Oregonians to succeed in those jobs. And 3, create more opportunity by creating greater economic mobility across more communities, across all of our state, not just in one area or the other, but every community across our state matters. To bring this framework to life, we need to ask, what are the policies and steps to support each imperative? And what do we need to do to act on them? Last year, the business plan suggested 6 focus areas to advance this work. Recognizing Oregon's strength and scale in manufacturing and vast opportunities for onshoring, we put manufacturing high on the list to create opportunities for well-paying jobs. With dramatic changes in work and the need to support Oregonians seeking new opportunities, we called for what became Future Ready Oregon. This $200 million state investment championed by Governor Brown is now bringing businesses, schools, and community-based organizations together to create pipelines to well-paying careers. We called out housing and broadband as critical needs for growing the economy and meeting our goals for inclusion and equity. We recognize the opportunities created by the Federal Infrastructure Act, including the much-needed replacement of the interstate bridge. We advanced state investment to expand uptake of the Earned Income Tax Credit, an excellent tool for lifting Oregonians from poverty. Now, with Future Ready Oregon, broadband, and the Earned Income Tax Credit, we are on to implementation and will track progress on each of these 3 initiatives as we move forward through the decade. On manufacturing, housing, and infrastructure, including the I-5 bridge, we made progress in policy development, but the governor and legislature must act to push that policy towards implementation. This brings us to our recommended policy agenda for 2023. 7 items that we think are both timely and doable in the year ahead. This morning, you're going to hear about 3 important items on the list. First, we want to advance our manufacturing agenda. Thanks to our elected business and community leaders who served on the Semiconductor Task Force, we are poised to grow this sector dramatically. With the engagement of our federal delegation and passage of the CHIPS Act, the stage is set for action by the Oregon legislature. Semiconductor expansion is only the beginning. We will hear all kinds of ideas this morning on how we can grow our already strong base in manufacturing, if we have the will to do so. And when we talk about manufacturing, let's hold this for a moment. We're not just talking about the big acreage in Hillsboro to build big facilities. We're also talking about some of the smaller startup manufacturing opportunities that are happening around the state. So let's make sure we focus on big, medium, and small as we build that entire sector. Second, we will talk about the importance of post-secondary education. We will highlight how our state institutions can spark innovation and talent development for our economy and how they can assist in tackling some of our greatest policy challenges. Assist, mind you. And we will underscore why every Oregonian should have affordable access to post-secondary education if we are true to our commitment to shared prosperity. Third, we will confront our housing and homeless challenge and discuss what it will take to regain our footing in Portland, Oregon's commerce center. Now, recently we had a board meeting for OBC, and we asked the group of leaders from around the table that represent all corners of the state, and we assessed what was the number 1 priority in the room for everybody around the state. And they all agreed on one thing: get Portland back. Because what happens in Portland affects everybody else in the state. It carries us for everything that we do. So let's focus on Portland. Let's get Portland back. Let's get Portland back on its feet. I said a year ago, I maintain again, Portland's not going anywhere. We'll build it back. So let's do that together. You will note 4 other opportunities on the slide. Each is important for each of you to find policy papers on our website explaining why they are ripe for action. We're not going to get into a lot of those today. If we can make progress in these areas in the year ahead and in implementing the policies adopted last year, Oregon and our people will be better for the effort. Obviously, not every policy issue is on this list. We're looking forward to hearing from our governor-elect and legislative leaders about their thoughts and priorities. Our main point is this: let's work together to identify opportunities, come up with a plan, enact policy, and implement it. I know that sounds pretty simple, but let's make sure that we track and measure how we're doing. All of that matters as well. We're all accountable to the world outside of this building. And if we stage our work in this way, we are far more likely to make progress towards shared prosperity. Staging is key. We can't do everything at once, so before enacting big policy ideas, we need to think long-term and plan our steps. In that spirit, I want to offer some topics we may wish to work on next year to serve up at future summits. It's time to reflect on our land use system. For 50 years, it has served Oregon well in protecting farmland, forest land, and open space. We need to make sure that it also works to provide for our critical needs in industry and housing. This is not an easy task, but it is one that we must take on if we want to meet our goals for equity and shared prosperity. The state is changing. During the COVID-19 pandemic, our healthcare providers have been heroic in protecting and serving their communities. They are true heroes and deserve our gratitude. Sadly, our healthcare system finds itself under extraordinary stress, with rising costs, depleted staff, and red ink. There will be no easy answers to right the system. We need a fresh look at how to secure access, quality, and affordability. This has been a major focus for the business plan in the past, and it's appropriate to put healthcare back on the agenda. As we do this work, we understand the importance of addressing mental health, especially due to the stresses created by the pandemic. We know that this is a major priority for our governor-elect, and we are eager to work with her. One of the goals of the business plan is to increase workforce participation. Workforce participation. And we know that one of the main impediments to that goal is the lack of childcare. The legislature has invested in childcare throughout the pandemic, and the newly created Early Childhood Division is taking this on. A shout out to the work in the Bend Chamber in expanding Central Oregon childcare resources and the Children's Institute policy leadership in Oregon's Early Childhood Coalition. Many in the business community are taking this challenge on as well. We are eager to learn about the legislative ideas for the year ahead, and equally important, create and implement a comprehensive plan as we move through the decade. Now, we still have a heavy lift with wildfires. The Wildfire Commission produced an excellent report about 3 years ago. Much action has been taken since then, but one critical plank still needs attention. We need to develop a plan to thin the federal forests. Finally, and on a related topic, is the time to take a fresh look at Oregon's approach to climate change. We know climate change is real and already having an impact. The question is how to best address it, how to do our part in meeting this really global challenge, and what do we do in Oregon to help make that better. Again, we must track and measure progress towards our 4 business plan goals. It will take time for detailed data to come in, but we have a sense of where these trends are headed. Wages. Wages are up, but they haven't kept pace with inflation. Good-paying jobs are the key to long-term gains, and that's why manufacturing figures strongly in our agenda. The share of people working. This is also up in Oregon, and notions of a great resignation are overblown. But to reach this goal by 2030, we're going to have to address a key structural barrier: the price and availability of childcare. I can tell you that in Grants Pass, where Dutch Bros is headquartered, 1 in 10 children under the age of 5 have access to childcare. Makes it tough for a community to advance, for parents to work, for parents to be all in on developing the economy, if 1 in 10 kids have access to childcare. Household wealth. This didn't fare well in Oregon or elsewhere in 2022. Our housing agenda, which calls for a lot more production and many more options, is part of the puzzle and should provide wealth-building opportunities for many who have been. And economic mobility. Our 2 mobility measures, poverty rates and post-secondary enrollment, are not where we want them to be. The poverty rate edged up in 2021, and college attendance has not recovered from the pandemic setback. Still, we believe these goals are achievable. We in business community stand ready to work with our elected leaders and the environmental community to figure it out. So I mentioned earlier about our moment. As leaders, we have a moment, and it's about capturing a moment in time. Oregon is at its moment. It might be the moment in our leadership cycle. It might be the chance for everybody to wake up and take a look at what's going on around us. It's about participating. It's about working together. I came in on that side of the room and my left side of the room this time. Last year I came in on the right side of the room. Last year the right side of the room was a little lighter attended than it is this year. All right, left side of the room's feeling pretty good over here. All right. It's about bringing everybody together so we do this work together. This is our moment. A new governor, we have new legislative leadership, and we have many opportunities in front of us. Everyone in this room is a leader. If we all commit to these tasks, we can make great things happen for our state. So let's get to work. Now we need to pay a few bills. I want to thank the sponsors for being here. We've had great support this year. We've brought this event back to 2019 levels, and Candace and I were talking the other night about how events this fall have started to come back to 2019, so it feels good to be in a room together. We want to thank our sponsors for stepping up and supporting across all sectors of industry. And without you, we are not able to make this work. So thank you to all of our sponsors in the room. Thank you for being part of this event. Now, I would like to introduce Anis Mojgani, Oregon's Poet Laureate. He will now join us with an original poem to highlight the significance of the moment we are in. Thank you, everybody.